Get started with Kevin Harvick. Kevin, Sunday's win puts you back into contention for your first NASCAR Sprint Cup Series championship. Are you looking at this race as a nothing-to-lose opportunity?
I think we have to. I think as you approach the the last race of the season and know that you're at a deficit, I think you approach it just as we approached last week to we have to go out and score maximum points and we have to figure out how to do that throughout the weekend. So hopefully we can have a good weekend and control the things that we can control.
Matt, you're one of the true veterans of the NASCAR garage area, and it doesn't seem like you ever get too rattled out there. You do have a large hill to climb to overtake Jimmie, but you've done it before. In fact, I got a stat for you. In 2011, here at Homestead, you gained 28 points in Jimmie Johnson. That's what you're behind right now, so it can be done. You've been great at these mile-and-a-half racetracks this season. Simple question now. How tough it's going to be to make up this deficit?
Well, I mean, obviously we're not going to make up the deficit on performance. At least I think Jimmie could probably run 28th wherever he has to run with 3 wheels on. So he's obviously going to have some sort of mechanical problem or a crash or something happen. And at the same time, we have to run good and be up in the top 5 and be up there battling for a win to not only hold on to second, but also to have a chance to overtake Jimmie if he does have some sort of problem.
Hey, Jimmie, going into your 5 championships, in 4 of them, you held the points lead coming in, so you've been a great defender. What do you got to do this time around to defend this points lead?
I'm definitely in the position I want to be in. Defending is the place of control. We have the points lead, and we can control our own destiny. But it does come with a price. There's a lot of pressure on myself and the team to get things done. So we'll manage that and deal with that as the weekend goes on. But excited to have this opportunity, and again, just we're in the position that we would want to be in. I'm sure any driver would want to be in.
Okay, back for our final segment with our NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Championship contenders. And before we open it up to the audience, that was a pretty cool announcement that Brett made about reigning series champion getting to vote for the Hall of Fame. I think that's pretty neat. I'd like to ask you guys about that. Jimmie, what do you think? You've won 5 championships. What do you think about being able now to have the opportunity possibly of having a Hall of Fame vote?
It's a huge honor, and I'm sure pressure in a whole different way that none of us have experienced before. And quickly thinking about it, I think it'll help ingrain the current champion into the past and understand more about the history of the sport and the people that came before us. So I think it's a cool opportunity for whoever the champion is.
Matt Kenseth, you've got a championship under your belt. What would you think about having the opportunity to vote for the Hall of Fame class?
Yeah, I think it's a cool idea. I mean, I think anytime anybody asks your opinion and actually listens to it, I think that's always neat. So, yeah, I think it'd be neat to be part of that, and I think it also probably teach us more about the sport. I think we all think we know a lot about it, but I think you'd learn a lot more about it and probably appreciate it even more.
And Kevin, you're going for your first NASCAR Sprint Cup Series championship. Been around the sport a long time, but just talk about what that would mean if you were able to have that opportunity.
Well, I think as you look at the sport, obviously there's a lot of key participants that have been a part of the sport for a long time, and I think having somebody on that panel that may think a little bit outside of the current known drivers, crew chiefs, team owners, things like that, might bring a little bit of something else to the panel to think about. So it's pretty cool.
Thank you very much. We're going to open it up for questions now because I know you guys and gals are wanting to ask these guys some questions. So open it up right now. We'll start with Jeff Gluck, and then we'll go to Claire.
Jeff Gluck from USA Today for Matt and Kevin. Are you guys coming here with the possibility of winning a title fairly realistic in your mind, like it's something that could possibly happen? Do you let yourself think about it, or is the points gap such a long shot that you're just focused on, hey, we're going to go win. If it happens, it happens, but it's not something that you can visualize?
Well, I think for us, we've had so many strange things happen throughout my career at the last minute that you at least have to play everything out. We've just the type of team that we are. We race up until the last lap, and you just never know what's going to happen. But realistically, the only things that we can control are what we do. It's definitely a really, really long shot, but we'll control the things that are in our control and see how it all falls.
Let's go to Claire, and then we'll go to Dustin. Go ahead, Claire. Oh, I'm sorry, Matt. Go ahead. Yeah, I am. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, what he said. No, I mean, really, pretty much exactly what he said. But I think you got to take it serious. You got to control the things that you can control the best of your ability. You got to go out there with the idea of trying to win, and run up toward the front because, like I touched on before, we have to outrun Kevin to maintain second. And if Jimmie does have a problem, he's so far ahead that the problem needs to be fairly severe. And if it is, you need to be pretty far toward the front because, hypothetically, he could have a problem. And if Kevin and I are running around in 12th and 13th, Jimmie could still win. So, I mean, I think we got to aim to go try to with the idea of trying to win a race and be up front and lead laps and be in that front group to try to get the best finish we can.
Now we can go to Claire. Claire and then Dustin.
You got it. Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. I've covered a lot of these Chase Contenders news conferences, and to me, and through the season, at the end of the season, it seems like you guys are kind of laughing amongst each other, and that the relationship is you're all enjoying it from the inside while we're all covering it. What's the relationship between you guys as you head into the final race of the season and someone is crowned a champion?
Well, we're not laughing amongst each other. We're just laughing at you guys.
I think for me, I feel like I have a good relationship with both of these guys. That I feel like there's a mutual respect for what everybody's accomplished, and just always can have a conversation with both of them. So for me, process has been fairly simple.
Jimmie?
Yeah, I definitely agree with what Kevin said. And one thing to add to it, this is the situation we all want to be in. And I think we all take a lot of pride in the fact that we're here at the last race of the year at this press conference. And I can vividly recall missing the press conference in 2011, and I'm happy to be here. And it's also easy to be more relaxed prior to NASCAR timing and scoring starting up. So on Friday, I'm sure that will change the environment a little bit. But right now, as Kevin pointed out, there's a great deal of respect between all of us, and I think we're all happy to be here.
We'll go to Dustin. We'll go to Dustin and then Reed. Go ahead, Dustin.
Dustin Long, Motor Racing Network for Jimmie. How long did it take to get over last year's lost opportunity, or is it a case that it just diminishes a little bit over time, but it's still always there, just as 2004 is always there?
I think 2004 affected me more than last year. In 2004, there were so many emotions riding on things with the airplane going down, and the momentum we had, it just seemed that it was on our side. Then early in the race, the 97's wheel falls off, and he's coming from the back, and we were in position all day long until the last restart. So that one hurt more for a lot of reasons. Last year we lost control at Phoenix, which kind of started the process, and then we were in position here to win the race and put a lot of pressure on the two, and we made two mistakes. So, stuff happens. It is a team sport, and that's one element that I think gets overlooked in our sport a lot. But I feel like last year I did some of the best driving that I've done, and I felt like I was a better teammate than I'd been in years past. So when the dust settled in the job that I did in being a part of my race team, I had a lot to be proud of, and we had a great year. So it still hurts. You hate to miss an opportunity because you never know when they're going to come again. But it was more of a slow burn from Phoenix to maybe Champions Week. And you just about get over it until you go to Vegas. And then you go to Vegas and you're reminded that you didn't win the championship. So that kind of fires it back up a little bit, and then it tailors off from there.
We'll go to Reed and then Bob Pockris. Reed?
Reed Spencer with NASCAR Wire Service for Jimmie. Back in 2010, Denny qualified 37th and wrecked early, trying to come through traffic. How important is qualifying on Friday, and how much emphasis are you guys going to place on that?
That started on Thursday, by the way.
Qualifying is so important. And here it seems that we have a lot of green flag runs. So if you start down on track position and don't have your car right come race day and don't make the most of Saturday, you're going to have a long race and put a lot of pressure on yourself that you don't want. So the weekend really does start in qualifying on Friday. And one thing that's different this year for me than many years coming down here is with the new testing policy, we were able to save a test session and come down. So I feel like we had a very productive test session when we were here. and should help start our starting point on Friday and on Saturday be a lot closer than maybe what we've seen at other times. So we're eager to get going, and it does start on Friday.
Go to Bob Pockris, Kenny Bruce, Jim Utter. Go ahead, Bob.
Bob Hocker, Sporting News. Jimmy, Chad was talking about how you have the same car from Texas, and it's the 4th time in 8 weeks that you're actually running this car. Do you have any input on what car he brings to the track, and do you have, like, what do you like about this car, and do you have a name for it?
There's no name. We just go off a number system with the car, and the car, I think I ran in Dover earlier in the year, and the car performed very well. And at Michigan in August, I crashed in practice in our primary car, and this car was a backup. And we got it on the track, made a few laps, and right away, there's just something that felt really good about it. We don't know why. I mean, we look at all the numbers from Aero and all the things that go with it, all the tools that we have to measure what's going on with the race car, and there's nothing that stands out, but it just feels better. It's a more comfortable car for me to drive, and that alone is what kept this car in rotation and why we're bringing it back. The performance at Texas and Dover the second time certainly helps, but I told Chad after the Michigan race, let's put this one on the side and use it as often as possible in Chase. So I had a lot to do with it.
Go to Kenny Bruce, Jim Utter, and Melinda. Go ahead, Kenny.
Kenny Bruce with NASCAR.com. For all three of you guys, it's been mentioned this is the 10th year of the Chase, and I just wonder what your opinion of the Chase format is, what you like about it, and if there's anything you don't like about it, what might that be?
I think it's great to have our sport relevant to others, and the fact that we have a playoff system. So I think that's one key component.
Matt?
I like, I guess if you're running well and you feel like you have a solid team and a solid year going on, it kind of gives you some mulligans early in the year. You can have some bad races, have some things go wrong, and kind of still get reset when you get to the Chase. The thing I don't like about it is there's one guy that thinks he has to win every single one of them. Doesn't leave much for the rest of us.
Kevin?
I agree. I like the format. Things I don't like about it are the same racetracks year after year. I think it would help our schedule, would help some of the racetracks, help build some excitement around some different racetracks, and I think there needs to be a road course in it. So I think to keep it mixed up, I think. You didn't think you could drive on the short tracks either. Then you win them all. But I think there definitely needs to be some things mixed up in it. I think the format is great, but I think the tracks need to change on a yearly basis.
We'll go to Jim, Melinda, and then to Chris. Jim?
Jim Uttershaw, Observer. Kevin, you've mentioned several times this season about people writing you off at the beginning of the year. I was just curious, at the time, obviously, you didn't know what all was going to transpire this season, but why were you so confident that you and Gil and Richard would be able to go through this season and basically not have things fall apart?
Well, I think, obviously you look at Martinsville and I wish, that whole situation hadn't transpired, but I think from the time we moved from it, I think we had conversations and talked about a lot of things, and you realize it makes you really think about things that have happened in the past, and then, just talking amongst ourselves with Richard and myself, and you realize how successful we've been in the past. But along with that process, you also think about all the mistakes you've made along the way and the things that you would have done different. And so we've been through a lot of scenarios that were a lot tougher than starting with my job ending after this week at RCR, and the way that it started at Atlanta, or really Rockingham in 2001. So we'd been through a lot of hard situations before, and had committed to each other to fulfill our commitment throughout the year. And the guys in the shop, they don't care. It's I always tell people it's just as hard to run last and just as much work to run last as it is to run first. So those guys were all on board, and everybody knew the scenario. And in the end, for the company, our car had to run good. They have a lot of change and a lot of things going forward to make right. You know, no matter who drives it, what numbers on it, you know, the car needed to perform well this year. So it's it had to have the right amount of effort. They couldn't just write it off and hope for better things next year. So it's there's it's still probably the most stressful year on the racing side that I've ever had, with all the different scenarios and different things going on. But you know, in the end, you put all that aside and you get to do what you like to do in the race car and be around the guys in the garage that really don't care about the politics. They don't care about contracts. They don't care about scenarios. They put, you know, 12 hours, 7 days a week, sometimes more, into those cars, and they want to see them perform, and they don't care about the rest of it. So that's really what drove me, were the guys on my team. And you know, they look at you and expect you to get in that car no matter what's happened. They expect you to get in that car and give it 100%, even though it's a rule.
Let's go with Melinda. Excuse me, Melinda, and then Chris.
Melinda Adams, ESPN. I have a question for Matt and for Jimmie. First, Matt, just sort of talk about Phoenix, and you were having such a great season, still had such a great season, and how devastating last week was.
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously a really poor performance, you know, all around. It was probably our worst performance of the year, and really couldn't have came at really a worse time. So, but on the other hand, that says a lot about our season and how great our season has been. You know, that was our worst race, and you know, I shouldn't say we still ran 23rd or wherever the heck we finished, because that's obviously terrible. But it was, you know, it was a tough week. We went back and tried to figure out what went wrong. We think we got a handle on what went wrong. Try to figure it out, you know, for the next time. But certainly wanted to win the year of the championship, and we still have a chance to do that if everything plays out right, or plays out right in our favor, I guess. But either way, it's been obviously an incredible year. It's been probably the best year of racing I've ever had in my career. So it's been a lot of fun. It's been a great change, personally and professionally. I've had a great time this year. I'm looking forward to this weekend and closing the season out, and I'm already looking forward to next season as well.
And for Jimmie, what would winning a sixth championship mean?
I don't know. We'll see if I'm fortunate to be in that position at the time. But you know, I'm just focused on getting in the car and doing all that I can on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and minimizing mistakes and all those types of things. I've really tried hard not to go down that road and think about those things. You know, I think it'd be a mistake. Got to focus on Sunday's race and do my best job then, and then you know, what happens after that, we'll all find out.
Go to Chris and then to George. Go ahead, Chris.
Sir Kevin, Chris Green, South Dade News Leader. Do you feel like you're at a bit of a disadvantage because the two guys next to you were at the test earlier in the month?
Not really. You know, we went and tested at Texas and didn't run very well, and you know, well, he went and tested at Texas and went and dominated the race. So, but you know, if we do everything that we've done, I feel like you know, this is probably the best car from an aero standpoint that they brought to the racetrack. But you know, we might hit a few bumps in the road to start the practice, but I think we'll be fine.
Let's go to George and then to David Carabello. George.
Yeah, George Diaz, Orlando Sentinel. For Jimmie, I know you just said obviously you don't go down the road in terms of thinking championships, but somewhere down the road, but perhaps before, have you thought of your place in NASCAR history in terms of, I want to get to Richard Petty's, reach 7, 8, whatever? Are there goals in your mind that you do have in terms of long term as you move forward in the sport?
No, no. I've not been one to look at stats and pay attention to what's been ahead of me and have used that for motivation. And I honestly think a lot of it's due to the fact that I didn't win a lot growing up, so I didn't grow up thinking that way. And things have changed dramatically since I got involved with Hendrick Motorsports and pairing with Chad Knaus and what we've been able to do on the track. And of course, yes, I would love to win this year. I'd love to win a 7th or an 8th. I mean, you just go on and on. So, I mean, that's what you would want to do. Is it realistic? I have no clue. And honestly, I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about it. I have a friend that told me something that does stick in the back of my mind, and I try to think a little bit and dream, because he told me that limits begin where the vision ends. So with that statement, there needs to be a vision of some kind, but I'm really one that lives in the present and focuses on each week, and that's just the way I've been. You just show up at each racetrack each week, 36 or 9 of them, depending on how you count the races go by, and you hope you have a shot at the end.
Our time in this segment is approaching an end, so we're going to take 2 more questions. David and then Jenna. Go ahead, David.
David Caravella, NASCAR.com. Guys, this is clearly a sport that's undergoing a youth movement to a certain degree, and yet you look at Crafton, and he's 37. Sam's been around for a while, and the 3 guys left standing here are all middle-aged guys with kids. What does that say about the ability to compete at the highest level as you go forward in age in this sport?
I think I'm thinking of Jimmie Johnson and something I saw on television where he didn't want a driver until he was in his 30s. So I think generations before us, Terry, Dale Sr., there were some older champions, and most of them are older champions. So there's really something for experience in our sport, and it really makes a big difference. Youth is important. Jeff Gordon won at a young age. We need it in our sport, and it's very important. But championships are so hard to get, and I think all of us, and I remember saying it myself, getting started, that I would trade my age for experience any day. There's just so much you learn over the course of a career, and a decade in the sport now. Just so much better as a competitor, and we're able to prolong our careers much longer than stick and ball sports. So I think mentally we're all getting into a very strong period of time. This is probably the biggest thing.
Anybody else want to comment on that? Okay. Finish up right here with Jenna. Go ahead, and then we'll keep going.
Jenna Fryer, AP. That was sort of my question. The past Contenders press conferences have been a little more exciting in terms of I was reminded when Kevin leaned in and said that for Denny it started on Thursday when you guys messed with him the entire time, and there was a little bit of that with Brad, but you guys are kind of like a bunch of old boring dads up there, and nobody's trying to play any mind games or anything like that. Is that because you guys are just steely veterans or been there, done this before?
Or maybe because he's ahead by 28 points? If he was building his own engine, I'd be messing with him right now.
So the old boring dads, how did the one before this go with the young kids? Did they pick on each other at all?
Somebody here tweeted it would have been better if Sam had worn a white cowboy hat.
They could have had a...
All right, we're not going to end on that question. Let's go with Alan right here. Get Alan a mic, could we, please? Thank you. Be final question right here.
Yeah, right. Alan Cabana, NASCAR.com. Kevin, this is for you. I was just looking at your finishes. In 9 races, you have 2 wins and 7 top 10s. Do you ever think about, what the heck do you have to do to win a championship? You're still 34 points back. Do you wonder about that?
We were talking about this earlier. I feel like we've, as a team, done better than what we've done in the past as far as the chase goes with winning, which was what we felt like we needed to win a race or 2 in the chase. But, I think we've averaged like a 7.5 throughout the chase, and I felt like after we left Loudon that we knew that one of these guys was going to have one of those chases that was going to take a 4 or a 5 to average finish to make it happen, and probably going to win a few races as they went through the 10. So we knew going in that we couldn't make any mistakes because you're racing against guys that have had a great year and capable of winning every week, and so we knew when we left Loudon that we had made a big mistake, and but that's just the way it goes, and you just have to race every week, and we've had a good chase. Well, that's his fault. He set the bar that high, and Carl lost it with what was his average, 5.2 or 3 or something. So, it takes 10 weeks to put them all together.